reality is that our armed forces have been completely hollowed out.
Yeah.
Over the last 14 years. I resigned from the Conservative Party back in 2011 over the then Strategic Defence Review, which was a disgrace then. So, yeah, I got pretty strong views about it. You have to have a strong deterrent. I mean, the best way to prevent war is to have a strong deterrent. And the way to guarantee peace is prepare for war. And as you know, I've just come back last night from Ukraine, which I've never been to a war zone before. It's absolutely extraordinary, where you see a whole society mobilised for war, to the extent where you've got 12-year-old children in their bedrooms after school helping to design and develop drones for the war effort. And that's the sort of whole society, because they don't want to be invaded by Russia. And it was extraordinary. So I was there, and it's quite... I've taken a bit of flack from certain folk.
A lot of flack.
You have. We've just sorry to interrupt you, because we've got some stuff we want to show you, Richard, before you respond to this. A few people weren't very happy about this. So this is some examples. We just want to let the public... So Roberta has said Richard Tice is in Ukraine helping to keep the war going. Don't vote for the Reform Party. Rob said Richard Tice could have raised money to support homeless veterans sleeping rough on our streets instead of flying over to Ukraine to witness the delivery of a few 4x4s. Use your vote wisely. Zach has said really laudable stuff from Richard Tice over the last 48 hours, although it's sad to see a lot of Reform UK supporters saying his stance in Ukraine, saying what they're saying in the comments. Make no mistake, if Putin wins in Ukraine, we'll be at war with Russia within 10 years. So it was very divisive.
Yeah, listen, right, so let's just get some facts on the table. There's over 1,000 4x4 pickups with British number plates on that have been taken over there by British volunteers, full of medical supplies, to keep Ukrainian soldiers alive in that critical first hour. Because the supplies we're taking over, and I took over dozens of boxes in the back of the truck I was driving, those are what the soldiers want. And literally there are hundreds of Ukrainian soldiers alive today because of what we've been doing. And that was privately raised donations. And the gratitude from Ukrainian society for what we in the UK are doing, raising their money, is extraordinary, and you only sense it when you're there. But that last point is absolutely right. The Ukrainians, they're not only fighting to save their sovereign nation that they love, they're actually fighting for the freedom of the West. Because if Putin wins, anybody that thinks that he's just going to stop there and that's enough is at best being deeply naive. No. They are fighting for the freedom of the West, because he'll go into the Baltic states.
How do we know that? I don't know why politicians talk with such confidence about that.
Who thought he was going to go into Ukraine?
Oh, it's been going on for 8 years.
Right,
He absolutely was always going to defend the Russian people.
So you're happy to take the risk. So when he goes into one of those Baltic states, you say, oh, well, maybe he won't go to the next one, he won't go to the next one. When are you prepared to stand up, right, against a bully, whether it's in the school playground or whether it's as sovereign nations? If you don't stand up to a bully, they despise weakness and they will take advantage of it.
I'm all for defending the Ukrainian people. I think it's horrific what's happened to all of those civilians over there. But I can't quite buy into this idea that if we don't stop him there, he will, maraud across Europe.
But you're prepared to take the risk.
He never said that.
You're prepared. He never said he was going to. He never said he was going to invade Ukraine. No, he didn't. Before he went in, he said he wasn't.
Soviet Union.
He never said he was going to Ukraine.
Donbass region, he wanted back.
So you're prepared to take the risk. So when he goes into the Baltic states or into Poland, what do you do then? Because we haven't got the weapons, we haven't got the people, so very quickly you're straight to nuclear war, or you just let him walk over all of us. Is that what you're prepared to do?
I don't know. I don't have the same faith that that's his ambition.
Well, I don't believe anything he says, and I'm more with you, Richard. But Nigel Farage, we asked Nigel about your trip to Ukraine yesterday. I think we've got a clip of what Nigel said. This is what Nigel Farage says when we asked, would you go to Ukraine like Richard Tice? This is what he said. Talking of wars, your colleague Richard Tice, of course, we're going to speak to him a little later. He's in Ukraine. He's taken a great convoy of military aid there. Are we going to see you in a convoy to Ukraine taking military aid, Nigel?
I don't think so, Andrew. No, good for Richard. If that's what people want to do, I think good for them. I just have this feeling about the Ukraine war that nobody in a position of global authority seems to have even considered the option. Maybe we can stop death on a massive scale and maybe sit down and start to have some negotiation.
From a position of deep weakness. I mean, a one-sided ceasefire is called surrender. The way to negotiate with someone like Putin is he knows that you are a serious deterrent. if Trump had been president, there's no way Putin would have gone into Ukraine because he wouldn't have been able to take the risk about what Trump would have done. Yeah. And that's how you create a grown-up deterrent. That's what you've got to do. So, yes, of course, you sit down and negotiate, but you do that from a position of strength.
The irony is, of course, if Trump wins, he may cut off the aid to Ukraine.
Trump hasn't told people what to do.
No.
That's the whole point of being an unpredictable negotiator.
Yeah.
The other side don't know what you're going to do. That's why even Trump's detractors, the back end of his first term, said actually on foreign policy he was achieving things.
And Rishi Sunak was out there a week ago and he pledged another £2.5 billion of taxpayer support for Ukraine. Are you comfortable with that?
Yeah,
At a time when the NHS is in crisis and schools are in crisis?
If you were running the country properly and we were growing, that would be... You wouldn't be having that discussion. We've got no growth. They're running the country very badly. But it's not mutually exclusive. We can do both, right? I repeat again that if we degrade, if the Ukrainians degrade Russian military might in Ukraine, then that is reducing the likelihood that Russia will attack other Western allies' interests. And that is a very good thing indeed. And look, the analogy with the homeless is a completely false analogy. We can do both. Of course we shouldn't have homeless veterans, but that's due to the incompetence of our own managers here. It's not because we said we can't put any money there because we spent it over there. We can do both, and we can do both really well. But you can only do that with competent leadership and determination. And sadly, at the moment, that's not what we've got.